So we have come to the fifth and the final day of the AfDB annual meetings here in Côte d'Ivoire. Of course, the biggest news from yesterday afternoon was the election of Mauritanian candidate Sidi Ould Tah to become the next president of the AfDB starting from the 1st of September. He will be taking over from Nigerian-born Dr. Akunyi Adesina, who had been in the saddle for the last 10 years. That was the biggest news yesterday. Of course, everyone watched that as it happened. Of course, there was a whole lot of expectations as to who among the 5 candidates will be. Well, overnight, what we've seen since late yesterday, since the emergence of Sidi Ould Tah as the incoming president of the AfDB, has been a flurry of congratulations from around the world. The Director General of the WTO, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has sent in a congratulatory message to Sidi Ould Tah via Twitter or X handle. We've seen congratulatory messages being sent out from Addis Ababa, the headquarters of the African Union. We've also seen congratulations from the headquarters of the Southern African Development Community, the SADC region, but also very important were congratulatory messages from the outgoing president of the AfDB, Dr. Akunyi Adesina, as well as one of the candidates, the Zambian candidate, Membo, Dr. Membo, who also sent in a congratulatory message to the Mauritanian candidate who's now been elected as the next head of the AfDB. But what went into yesterday's voting was a whole lot of horseplay, a lot of political intrigue. Nigeria, the biggest shareholder, the largest shareholder, had a chunk of the vote, as it were, had a majority vote, as it were. And a couple of hours ago, I spoke with the Nigerian finance minister who represented Nigeria's interest and also says he rallied other African countries to ensure that Sidi Ould Tah also emerges as the next head of the DFI. Let's take a listen to what Wale told me.
Well, I think, as I said, the agenda is to bring resources, encourage. Well, I think, as I said, the agenda is to bring resources, encourage, support, and financial, additional financial participation. Well, I think, as I said, the agenda is to bring resources, encourage, support, and financial, additional financial. Agenda is to bring resources, encourage, support, and financial, additional financial participation. As it is, the African Development Bank disburses about, approves and processes about $6 billion per annum in loans and credits, etc. That is too small when you think of 50-odd countries in Africa. And then, so the number one item on the agenda, I think, is to bring friends, bring supporters, bring financial backers so as to increase the financial strength of the African Development Bank. Secondly, governance is always important. Strict adherence to the rules, regulations, and procedures that have been laid down and agreed by the Board of Governors and indeed the shareholders. And thirdly, in order to have impact, in order to help implement projects that reduce poverty, that uplift the people of Africa, there must be implementation, robust, speedy, and effective implementation of the designated projects that have been approved at the board level.
Is President Bola Tinubu pleased with the outcome of the AfDB new president election?
I think we went into the annual meetings. We went into this election for a new president of the African Development Bank on on the back of the instructions and the strategy and indeed the direction that had been laid by Mr. President. So we didn't arrive in Abidjan without a game plan. We followed that game plan strictly. Of course, we amended and we adjusted and reacted to the conditions on the ground and to the pattern of voting that we saw. But at the end of the day, it was Mr. President's plan that was implemented, and it was successful in not just putting in place a new president of the African Development Bank Group that had Nigeria support, that we had singled out as the candidate to back. But also, at the same time, we've also displayed the leadership of, in particular, the Africans at the AfDB, which meant that we helped to build a consensus. We helped to unify the disparate tendencies behind one candidate, and of course, the non-regional members of AfDB, the Europeans and the Americans and the Asians, etc., they too saw the trend and saw the unity and the single voice of Africa, and they too fell in line. So all in all, it was a very good exercise, and as I said earlier, it was led by Nigeria.
Of course, that was Nigeria's finance minister, Wale, talking about the agenda for the new president of the AfDB, Sidi Otar, how Nigeria voted, the rallying of African and other non-African shareholders of the AfDB to have a new president who the Nigeria expects to see will do a whole lot more in terms of funding support for projects across the continent, $6 billion over the last 10 years. Nigeria finance minister there says he wants to see double of that happening because of the so much that needs to be done on the African continent. Of course, we're now prepping for the final plenary and the closing press briefing of the this annual meetings for 2025, the 68th anniversary, as it were, of the AfDB. We'll track all that for you during the day and report back for all our viewers. The Frontier Africa Report. I am Hussein Amafai here in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire.